Hi, I'm Tony Fole. This video is about Jacob's key chucks and how to tighten them properly. Now that might seem a fairly obvious thing, but unfortunately I've come across quite a lot of people that seem to get into trouble with it. So let's zoom on some chucks and see the do's and don'ts with it. Well, I've got a small collection of Jacob style key chucks here. This one's a genuine Jacob's, nice quality. This is a key that fits it quite well. But if we look at another chuck, much cheaper, the key doesn't fit too well in the hole here. And so if I push outwards a little bit, it just doesn't hold. I can't tighten anything up at all, it just spins. If I hold the key in towards the chuck to make sure that the bevel gears are really engaged tightly, then I can turn it quite easily. We can notice on this one, which has got a drill bit in, that if I try and tighten that, unless I'm pushing in here, all it does is turn this around, wearing the teeth on the bevel on the key and on the chuck. If I put most of my force on this side, forcing it down in towards the chuck and fully engaging the bevel, then I can tighten that up quite well. This is a better fitting key. The nose on here is a closer diameter to the hole. If I don't hold it in towards there and I try and tighten it, I just don't have much on, and as you saw there, it would just slip. If I hold it in towards the chuck, in other words put more of the pressure on this side, then I can put a lot more torque on with no suggestion of slipping. You've probably come across two different types of chuck key. There's one like this, which is by far the best. It's not symmetrical. It's got a longer lever arm on one side than on the other side. In fact, on the other side it's more or less just got a thumb pad. The other type of key is like this. It's equal on both sides. In other words, it's totally symmetrical. I much prefer this one because you can put the key across like that. When you're tightening it up, you can put a lot more force on this side, so you force the key down into towards the chuck so the bevels engage fully, and you can just put a thumb here with lighter pressure and force it down like so. To loosen the drill bit, if you turn that around, you still want to force the key down into the bevel on the chuck. You put most of your force on this side and undo it. The lessons to take away from this, there are two things basically. One is you want a chuck key with the nose to be as good a fit in the hole in the chuck as possible. That makes all the difference. And the other lesson is to remember to always push the key in towards the chuck and not away from it. That is easily achieved if you align this horizontally when you're for the final tightening or the initial loosening. If you put the key like this, then it's very, very difficult to push down and fully engage the bevels. So for that final amount, always put the key horizontal for tightening or horizontal for the loosening. Now what I prefer, what I think is the best solution of all to this tightening problem, is not to use these key chucks at all, but to use a good quality keyless chuck like this one. Really smooth action. You just can turn it by hand. It tends to be self-locking, so when you apply the torque, it actually tightens up on there to the extent that sometimes you might not be able to just loosen it by hand, in which case it's got these holes in here, so you can put a rod. I think this is probably the wrong diameter, but you can put a little rod or a C-spanner on here to hold that and loosen it. Normally it just requires a little bit more than a hand one. But They're, like most things, there are good and bad versions of these. If you're going to lash out and replace some of your keyed chucks with keyless ones, make sure you get a good quality one. It makes all the difference. Well, that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please share and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done that.